Hi guys, in pretty shocking but not surprising news, after 13 years of Conservative rule, the prisons are full. But not with corrupt Tories and their donors, unfortunately, but with regular prisoners instead. Justices are being told to hold off sending people to prison because they're full. So why is this happening? Well, it's a combination of cuts to the prison service by the Conservatives since 2010, but also harsher sentencing, which results in people being locked up for longer, and also fewer new prison places are being made available. So solutions must be found, and who better than Reform UK's Ann Widdecombe, who has some ideas of her own. Have a listen.
Anne, I welcome you to the fray. As a former prisons minister yourself, does this surprise you at all? Can Britain get a grip of its failing prisons? What's going on?
I just cannot believe what's happening. This lot have been in power for 13 years. You know, it's not as if they've suddenly inherited a situation. I don't know what Jeremy Hunt has been doing. He must have known that we needed money to supply more prison places. Now, I had a crisis when I was prisons minister when the jails started to overflow. I brought in a prison ship from the United States, which Labour bore the whole, but then kept for 9 years afterwards. Yeah. And I brought in portacabins from Norwegian oil rigs and put them down in the grounds of medium secure prisons. And in other words, I created more space. Now, this government hasn't had the foresight to work out how much space it's going to need and what it will do if it does run out. Now, until that they're renting prison space abroad, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But that cannot be a long-term solution. And they got to start on prisons. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so she's complaining about, well, they don't have any long-term vision. They don't have any long-term solution to this problem. And then she was suggesting portacabins and barges or ships. Now, let's start with the first one, the barges or the ships. Well, we saw recently the problem with putting people on a barge. You have outbreaks. And that was when there were only something like 34 or 35 people on the Baby Stockholm. So that's not going to work. And what about portacabins? Well, you know, are they the safest? Are they the most secure? Is it possible that somebody can just punch a hole in one and escape? I can imagine something like that happening. But the main problem here is that there isn't enough staff. The staff that are there are demoralized. They're not getting paid enough, and they want to leave. So it's not just about building more prisons. You need to hire more prison staff, and you need to pay them well enough to stay in the job. It's a very stressful job. It's not a job that most people want to do. So you need to pay them more if you want to encourage more people to join the service. But you need also to look at how you deal with crime as well, because one of the reasons many people are staying in prison longer is because of longer sentencing, harsher sentencing. That needs to be reformed. It needs to be looked at, because if people are staying in prison longer, and in some cases maybe for some minor crime, if people are staying in prison longer, they're holding up a space for somebody else. And you have a situation now where justices are saying, look, we're not going to send people to prison because there's no space. So people are being let walk the streets. Serious criminals are walking the streets. Dangerous people are walking the streets because there's no space. Or because someone is in prison who really shouldn't be there, or shouldn't be there as long as they are, and they're holding up a spot. But who do we go to find a solution? Ann Widdecombe, and her solution is barges or portacabins. I don't know what else to say about that. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.